In this video, I'm going to share the 7 rookie website mistakes that I see so many freelancers make. And I've seen this time and time again over the 1,000+ websites I've seen personally. I've actually critically looked at over 1,000 websites over the past few years, and I've given critique videos for hundreds of those websites for other freelancers. And this is the same across videography, photography, graphic design. This is the same in the music production world. I've seen it all across these spaces. So if your website's not really doing what you want it to do, it's not as effective as you want it to be, it's likely because you're making one or more of these rookie mistakes. So if you want to know what those mistakes are and how you can avoid it, stick around. All right, let's dive right into this with mistake number 1, and that is trying to reinvent web design. Unless your profession is web design, you likely should not get too cute on how your website is laid out. And I'm not going to show any examples of this because I don't want to shame the people that I've seen do this, but you have probably seen this yourself. You see someone who has such a bizarre website layout that you have to use brain power to figure out how to navigate it. And the mindset of this that people make is, oh, I don't want to be like everyone else. I want my website to stand out and be something completely unique and different than everyone else. And the problem with this is that no one wants that. People avoid friction. And if your website makes them think, that's a amount of friction that they're not willing to go through. So they're just going to bounce off the site and go to a site that they understand. So the template of the internet is something that I prescribe every single freelancer follow. The template of the internet is something that you have seen yourself on just about every website in the world, whether it's software, whether it's service, and even some e-commerce. If you want to see the template of the internet in action, I cannot think of a better website to send you to than WordPress.com. WordPress.com is not a sponsor of this video, but WordPress hosts about 37% of all websites in the world as of last year. And so if you want to think about a website that might understand something that I call the template of the internet, it is likely this website. So if you go to just WordPress.com, you'll see what I call the template of the internet. And most websites are set up this way, at least at the very top. And if you start to deviate from this, you are going to fail magnificently. It is simply navigation at the top, big headline, and then underneath that is sometimes a subheading. And actually WordPress themselves claim that 43% of the web is built on WordPress. So Google lied to me. And then underneath that is something called a call to action. It's just a big button. And pretty much any sort of website creation tool that you go to will have this or a similar template. Most of the templates that those builders use start with this sort of template, which is just navigation, headline, subheadline, call to action button. This is what your website should be set up with. You should not deviate from this, and that's because everyone knows this template. Everyone knows how to navigate this. They understand it. This is not a place to innovate if you're a freelancer. I've seen so many websites where I just have to beat my head against the wall because I don't understand how it's laid out. It's just bizarre. It's making me figure, it's like there's buttons in places that I don't expect them to be. There's navigation in there. Like, it's just confusing to me. And if you want to guarantee that your website is not going to work, then simply break this mold. Don't use the template of the internet, as I call it, and start confusing people. Now to rookie mistake number 2, and that is the wrong focus. People have the wrong focus on their website. So you take all this time, effort, energy to build out a great website. It looks great. You use the template of the internet. You've made little changes here and there, but you're not deviating too far from what people know and expect on the internet. But you make it all about the wrong stuff. And I see this time and time again. You make the website about your gear and all of the things that you have. And this is especially common in the photography world, the videography world, the music production world. You make your website all about the gear that you have or the facilities that you offer. So I see this in the recording world a lot. They have a very nice, fancy facility. They make the website all about them and their studio and their gear and all the cool things that they have. And you miss the point. The entire point is about the client. It's not about you. It's not about your gear. It's not about your facilities. It's not about your work even. It's about your client and what they're going to get. And anyone that comes to your website is trying to answer one question. They have one question in their head, or at least one major question. The first question that's going to be in their head is, can this person give me what I want? Can this freelancer, can you watching this video, can you give me what I want when I land on your website? And most of the time, your website does not answer that. Now, mistake number 3 is not showing your work. This is another deadly mistake that I see so many freelancers make. And it doesn't make sense because if I'm going to hire a freelancer for a service, especially you creatives, the ones that I talk to on this channel the most, if you're trying to offer me a service and I can't experience what you can offer me, if I can't see it for myself or hear it for myself or whatever it is that you do, if I can't experience that and see it and actually feel it or analyze it, to see if it matches what I want, I can't answer that question that I have, which is, can you give me what I want? Because if you don't have the sound that I want, or the look that I want, or the vibe that I want, or the style that I want, then I'm not going to hire you. And if you don't have a great portfolio on your website showing me those things, telling me how you can do it, then I'm not going to hire you. So that's mistake number 3, which is not showing your work at all. Or sometimes, and this is almost just as bad, is you show too much of your work. You make me do the work of slogging through and trying to figure out what it is that's relevant to me. So this is just kind of a side problem to not having any work on your website, is having too many pieces of your portfolio. So if you're going to do that, if you're going to have a lot of your work on your website, make sure it's really well organized so I can quickly find what it is that I'm interested in. And this is especially important for those of you who are in multiple niches and you're offering multiple things to multiple people, which is almost always a bad idea, especially if you're just starting out, is that if you're going to do that, at least make it simple for the person who's on your website to identify the things that are important to them, and you're not confusing them or overwhelming them with all the stuff that is not relevant to them. Now, mistake number 4 is not having a clear CTA, that's call to action. So a call to action is just simply telling them to take the next step. What is the next step? What's the logical next step when someone has gone through your website that they need to take? And in most cases, it's either to fill out a form or to book a call, or in some rare cases, it might be to actually buy right there on the page. But no matter what your call to action is, you have to have something that puts them down the next logical step in the relationship. It's part of the customer journey. And I'll go into this more in a later video, but the customer journey is the journey they go on from they've never heard of you all the way to they've paid you and they're repeat buyers down the road. That's the customer journey, and you need to map that out. And part of that map is making sure you are meticulously guiding them. So if you have a one-page design, which is what I recommend most freelancers go with, how are you getting them from top to bottom? How are you guiding them down? Are you calling them to action along the way? Miniature micro actions. If you have a multi-page design, how are you guiding them from page to page on your website? What are the calls to action along the way? And what's the major overarching call to action? You're calling them to action. I cannot overstate how important this is, because if you don't tell them to do something, as stupid as it sounds, they won't do it. And it's because most people, weirdly enough, just browse the internet mindlessly. It's just the way our brains go when we're on the internet scrolling through. Maybe someone sent them your site. Maybe you were running ads and they came through your site. Maybe they found you on a link from another site and they're just mindlessly scrolling through, and there's no call to action on what the next step might be. Whether it is, hey, listen to my portfolio, or check out my work, or here are our rates, or fill out this form to get a quote. By spelling out what action you want them to take, by calling them to action, by spelling that out for them, you are removing another small piece of friction from the entire journey. So at this point, let's just pretend like you've avoided all of these rookie mistakes, or you've paused the video and you've gone and fixed all those mistakes that I've just walked through. So you have a great design for your website that follows the template of the internet, so people don't have to relearn how the internet works when they go to your website. You have the website that's with the right focus. You have a website that's showing your best work and not too many pieces of your portfolio. It's just your best work. And you have a clear call to action for what the next step is. The 5th mistake is saying, okay, you have all this. How are you going to get people to come to your website? The 5th mistake is not having a marketing plan of any sort. You have all this time, effort, energy, and even money sometimes building your website, and nobody's coming to it. What's the point? If nobody's on your website, does it exist? It's like if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? If your website does not have any traffic coming to it whatsoever, then what's the point? What is the point? So we have to have some sort of marketing plan. It doesn't have to be a bunch of complex paid advertising and multivariate split tests and whatever, cold outreach. You can keep it simple. I have a video on this called Marketing 101. I'll link to it in the description of this video. But you need to have some sort of plan. Some sort of plan. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you have to have some sort of plan for how your website is going to be found and then used. Now on to rookie mistake number 6, and that is not having a freebie on your website. Let me explain this. If you've gone through all the steps so far, or you've avoided all the mistakes so far, and you actually have people coming to your website and your website's built out great, and you don't have any sort of freebie on your website, you're missing a big opportunity. And before I talk about what that big opportunity is, let me just first explain what a freebie is. You've seen this all over the internet. This is no new concept. This is just merely having some valuable resource that you're giving away in exchange for an email address. So it's not really free. It's just no money. It doesn't cost any money. It costs an email address. And the point of that is to build up your email list. And the issue with not having this on your website is that you have all this website traffic coming, and most websites only converted around 3 to 5% of people to take the next step, whether it's book a call or to fill out a form on your website, only 3 to 5%. That means 95 to 97% of the website traffic that comes to you, whether organically or through paid ads, that means those people are leaving and you're never going to hear from them again. So by having a very valuable and appealing freebie on your website that you're giving away is another opportunity to start building the relationship with that person. And so you have the lead and you can start following up and nurturing that relationship down the road. Now, if you don't have a freebie, there's another video in the description below on how to actually build a mailing list as a freelancer specifically. So if you're struggling with this, you don't really understand how to do this, that walks through actually multiple steps from start to finish on how to build a lead magnet. And also, this kind of ties in with problem number 5, having no marketing plan. It actually goes into the content marketing side of things for freelancers. All right, and finally, rookie mistake number 7 that freelancers make on their websites or don't make on their websites is they have no empathy. That's a weird one, right? No empathy. But bear with me for a second, because this is something that we as creatives have to take into account, because the more emotionally tied our clients are to the end product that we're giving them, the thing that we're creating for them, the more emotionally tied they are to it, the more we have to invest in great copywriting for our websites. And even if you're working with businesses and it's all about like dollars and cents and ROI, there's still an emotional tie-in with that. And we have to empathize with the people that are coming to our websites because they have their own fears, their own hopes, dreams, desires. They have their own emotional baggage. And we have to be able to speak to that on our website. And there's only really 2 ways to do that. The first is through copywriting, or the second would be video, which is kind of ties back to copywriting because a lot of times people script out videos. But I'm just going to focus on copywriting because most of you, at least the experiences I've seen, don't want to be on camera. You don't want to talk to people on screen. And this is like you recording a camera for people to watch anonymously is probably the last thing you want to do. So I'm going to pretend that you don't want to do that. You just want to write things out. Copywriting is how you do it. Words matter. The words you put on your website absolutely matter. And the more you invest into great copywriting, whether it's actually hiring a freelancer to do it for you. So any of you freelance copywriters watching right now, you can leave a comment below and try to get people to hire you. Other way would be to just invest money or time into learning the skill, because it is a skill. It's a skill that's really important. It's a skill that really pays off long-term if you'll put the time, effort, and energy into it. And chances are you're just not thinking about it. Empathy is a really important part of selling. And it's because empathy is just simply putting yourself in the shoes of the other person and understanding what it is that they want. How are they feeling? What are their fears? And how can you address those things on your website so that they feel like you are the person for them? They feel like that you understand them. They feel like they can be safe with you, that their baby that they created together. And this is common in the music world where someone has taken years to craft these songs. They've overthought it. They've gone back to the drawing board a million times to keep iterating on these songs. And there's so much fear tied up in this that if they don't feel comfortable with you, you're not going to be the music producer they hire. And it's the same in virtually any creative field where there is someone's soul emotionally tied to what it is they're hiring you for. So the more emotionally charged that product is, or that end result is, the more important copywriting and empathy is for your website. So if you don't have any sort of empathizing words or things that would make someone feel comfortable that you're the right match for them, then you are going to struggle versus anyone else who's invested into copywriting for their websites. So those are the 7 mistakes. These are rookie mistakes, with maybe the exception of that last one. Empathy and copywriting is maybe a little bit more advanced, but honestly, like as competitive as certain freelance niches are, that's the stuff that is going to get people to hire you. And the people that don't take number 7 specifically, copywriting, seriously, are the ones that are going to get left behind. So as I wrap this video up, I'm going to leave you with one final resource that you need to go and check out. It's the 3-day website creation challenge. And before you tune out here, the reason this challenge is important is because day 2, we go over all the copywriting stuff. And if you struggle with copywriting, you want some frameworks and some worksheets to help you out, some questions to answer and some examples to look at, then that resource will be very valuable to you. So if you want that, just go to sixfigurecreative.com/challenge, and that'll take you to the Easy Funnels 3-day website creation challenge. It's 100% free. You can use any website builder you want. And if you already have a website, then day 2 specifically is what you want to pay attention to in that 3-day challenge. Again, you can get to that by going to sixfigurecreative.com/challenge and sign up for free right now. So that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end. So remember, it takes more than passion to become a 6-figure creative.